All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining today. My name is Kelly Gindelsberger, Partner Success Manager for Infrascale. I cover the Mid-Atlantic. You may have received this invite from one of my teammates that covers another part of the country. But thanks so much for the time. Chris, your background there is very appropriate. I know much of the country, it's probably the coldest day of the year. So hopefully everyone is staying warm. So we'll go ahead and kick this off. Like I said, my name's Kelly Gindelsberger. I've been in the data protection space for about 6 years. I'm on a sales team of about 10 or so people that cover the United States. So like I said, you may have received this invite from one of them. I am recording this presentation, so if one of your colleagues was interested in viewing it but couldn't make it, please let me know. I'm happy to send you the link afterwards. So today we're going to cover cloud backup and how you can fight ransomware using it. So Chris is going to take us through a demo. He's going to cover high-level overview of cloud backup, how to create a backup policy, some tips and tricks. We're well aware that many of you on the call might already be using this tool, so we want to make sure we're bringing value to you, maybe teaching you some things that you didn't know before. And then also he's going to cover anomaly detection, which is how you would combat ransomware with cloud backup. So Chris, if you want to introduce yourself, we can go ahead and get started.
Sure. My name's Chris Bayne. I've been doing backup and recovery, replication, cluster, failover for about 20 years now. I was actually at my previous employer, which is an enterprise backup and recovery company for about 18 years. And before that, I was at Lockheed Martin and doing data protection for them. So hopefully I can bring some of my years of experience to you guys and help you guys figure out new and creative ways to help protect your customers. With that being said, let me go ahead and hand it back to Kelly.
All right, thanks, Chris. So guys, I'm going to cover just a couple slides on just a high-level overview of Infrascale. Maybe you've been working with us forever and a couple of things have changed, or maybe you're a new partner to Infrascale and don't know these things. But these slides will be quick, and then Chris is going to dig into the technical stuff for us. So high level about Infrascale, been around since 2007. We are 100% channel focused. So if we have an end user that's looking to do business with us, we're going to route that through one of our valued partners like yourself. We currently protect over 500 petabytes of data, and we've got over 15 global data centers. So if you've got certain requirements of where your data needs to reside, we can help you check those boxes. You can see there in the lower right, we've been highlighted by Gartner over the past couple years, and we've got 3 products, which I'll cover on the next slide. And across all 3 products, our main goal is to eradicate downtime and data loss. All right, so taking it from the top here, so we've got 3 products. Today we'll be covering cloud backup there on the bottom. First up, we've got cloud application backup. This is our cloud-to-cloud solution, helps you recover past that 30-day window that those cloud-based applications that you see there, Office 365, G Suite, OneDrive, etc., are only going to let you recover up to 30 days. Also our disaster recovery as a service offering, or as I call DRaaS, which is now offered in a 1-year subscription. So we've got 1- and 3-year subscriptions, licensed per terabyte per month. That's our appliance to cloud offering. That's going to be to protect those critical applications and servers that your clients just cannot afford to have go down. Our SLA there is to boot any machine in our cloud within 15 minutes or less. Our average is 70 seconds, but the commitment is 15 minutes. So let us know if you have questions about that. We're happy to get with you after the call. And then lastly, cloud backup, which is what we're here to talk about today. So this is our direct to cloud offering. It's going to be more for those desktops, laptops, tablets, and mobile devices. It's going to allow you to recover at the file and folder level. And we've got that ransomware alerting, which Chris is going to get into here in a few minutes. All right. Many of you, I'm sure, have clients that need to comply with these regulations here you see on the screen. So if you're looking for more detail on how we comply with those different regulations, I'm happy to provide that. But know that our solutions are compliant with these regulations. All right, and this is where I'm going to turn it over to Chris. We've got, like I said, 3 products, and they're all out of one dashboard. Chris, you want to tell us more about the dashboard?
Sure, absolutely. We're going to jump into the dashboard here in a second, but you know, the dashboard is a great place to kind of see, again, all 3 products, what's happening, you know, what's successful, what's failing, what things you should look into. It also is a multi-tiered dashboard. So we have the ability for you to come in and create partners and customers and organize your clients the way that you're protecting them. So you can make sure that all the backup accounts are going against the right quotas and all that kind of stuff. We also give you integration with ConnectWise and AutoTask if you're using one of those. And these solutions are also fully rebrandable. So if you want to sell it as your own solution, that's definitely an option for you. So let's talk about what is cloud backup. So cloud backup is a great way to protect endpoints, workstations, and servers up to the cloud. And when I say the cloud, that can either be Infrascale's cloud, that can be your cloud that you guys run, that could be public clouds like Google or AWS. So it really allows you to just kind of take any of that data it's nice to have, it's good to have, that's on those laptops and endpoints, the servers, and go ahead and back it up directly to a cloud without having to put anything on-prem. You basically just install a very small client, and then it connects out to the internet and is able to push all that data. And it also can do deduplicated data. So it's only going to push up the changed blocks to the cloud. Now, some of the advantages that we have here is it's a centralized dashboard again. So across all of your customers, you can do reporting at that level. You can also drill down and get really granular and just look at what's going on in specific customers. Now, we can also help you protect against a mixed environment. So Windows, Mac, Apple, Android, you know, what you guys have got out there, we can encrypt that, or we can protect that. And then the last one is encryption. So we offer encryption all the way from the basic level accounts where we encrypt the data in flight and at rest to encrypting the data before it even leaves the laptop. So we can make HIPAA and all the other requirements where we can't even see the user's data. Now, when we talk about flexibility, these are the different data centers that we have throughout the US. But again, you don't have to use one of our data centers. You could use your own data center as the target to replicate the data to, or you could use one of the many public clouds that are available. Now, I said that we can rebrand the solution. So let's look at what the solution looks like at default. This is it with all the Infrascale logos and Infrascale messaging. But with a little bit of effort, we can go ahead and turn it into whatever consulting or whatever logos we want. So here you can see we've rebranded the dashboard. When you log into Infrascale, we've rebranded the client that goes on the client end machines, and even the desktop shortcut that goes out there for those client machines. And again, it's really easy to rebrand. And when we jump in here, I'll go ahead and show you how easy it is to rebrand something. Now, the last thing that we can rebrand is we also even rebrand the invite to the solution. So here you can see that this is, thanks for choosing the Bailey Joe backup service. So that could be, you know, whatever name you guys want to put out there as your backup solution. So when they're invited to come in and download the client and install it, you know, it's going to be completely rebranded for yours. Now, the first step in protecting anything, right, we're going to go out there and we're going to create a backup policy. So let's go ahead and jump out there and look at what it looks like to create a backup policy. So this is the Infrascale dashboard. When we come in here, again, we can manage all these solutions here, but for this particular one, we're going to manage backup policies. So when we come in to manage the backup policies, we can see that we've got a couple policies set up out here already. So let's go ahead and create a new policy. And we're going to give this policy a name. For this case, we'll just call it demo. And we can pick, when do we want to start backing up files from? You know, from 2014 and beyond, or, you know, maybe we want to start backing up as of last month. Do we want to limit the size, large or small, of the files we're backing up? Do we want to delete files that haven't been modified in a certain period of time? Do we want to delete the files when they're deleted from the local computer? Do we want to email the owner of this backup account the statuses of these Some clients, they want to let them configure it and they want them to be able to get all the alerting. Sometimes when we roll it out to a customer, we'd rather they just call us whenever something goes wrong, and behind the scenes, we're protecting everything. So in that case, we wouldn't do that. We could maybe send it to one of our email addresses, or we could just not have it email and notify anyone about the statuses. Again, we can see all that in the reporting in the dashboard. Down here, we've got different things we can set up. So do we want backups to run without the user's intervention? Most likely that answer is yes. Then we have two options here. If we choose to backup, even when the user is not logged on, it's going to ask us for credentials. So the problem with this one is if they change their credentials, the backups won't work, and it will only back up that particular user. Here, if we choose system account, which is a new option, and you can see up here it says Recovery Manager 7.3 and higher is required for this. This will allow us to always back it up, even if they change their password, and it's also going to grab the data for all the users that use that system. There we can pick our frequency that we want to do our backups. One tip I have here is definitely you want this to be during the day, especially if it's going to be laptops. I had it set at night because I come from enterprise, so we always back the servers at night. At night, people's laptops are usually turned off, so those backups won't work. So you definitely want to set that to be able to back those machines up during the day. Here we can come in and we can set up bandwidth usage limits. So we could say during the day, don't take up all their bandwidth because they're actually doing work, but at night, go ahead and use all the bandwidth to back them up. In areas where we have limited throughput or limited data caps, here we can limit the daily upload limit. We can pick if we want to scan all the folders or just the personal folders for that particular user. I typically say all folders because people save stuff all over the place, and this ensures that we get it. And then down here we have file types. When we look at file types, a lot of people think that that's like my documents and then documents, photos, and it's actually not. It's actually file types that match those particular files. So if we look up here, this shows us specifically what file types we're looking for each of those different ones. So for documents, we're looking for everything from text to URLs to doc to DOX. For images, videos, these are the files we're searching that computer for. Now, if you're thinking of doing it the other way, where you actually just want to say, I want to back up that directory, that's where we have backup sets. So under backup sets, we can put in absolute paths like C:users and just back up everything under that directory. Now up here, we can add additional file types that we want to make sure we always back up. But new, we've added down here the ability to exclude certain file types. So now we can say, all right, never back up the star.mp3. I don't want those backed up. That's not something that we need to have stored. So that's a little kind of guide on setting up backup policies. Now for what we're actually here to talk about, anomaly detection and ransomware. For that, we're going to go ahead and jump back into the console here. Now, if we go over here and we go to settings and we go to monitoring, this is going to let us set up our ransomware detection. Now, under monitoring, we have all kinds of settings that we can set up. We can subscribe to daily reports. We have all these different options over here. We can say, send me warnings and alerts about different things. Maybe someone hasn't backed up in 3 days, or they haven't backed up in 7 days. That's going to be an error. Just look at and proactively fight ransomware. So what this does is we're going to look at the rate of changed files. So say a user on average updates 5 to 10 files a day, and then they start updating 100 files. Well, that's not normal behavior. So there's a potential that ransomware has come in. And that's where we have these slider bars here where we can adjust the sensitivity. Now we also look for new files because the newer, more modern ransomwares also, now they create new files that are encrypted. And at the end, they delete all of the old files. And down here, we can also look at files that are associated with ransomware. So we kind of have a signature database to be able to look at things that we would suspect as being ransomware files. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and run a report and look at what it looks like when we get an alert about ransomware. So we'll click here on reporting. We'll go ahead and say event. We're going to look for a backup abnormality. And now we can see we've got one here from Ben Spitzer. And if we click over here, we can actually see what this particular alert is. So we can see that on average, this is his rate of change, but here he had a threshold of 160% of change, which is way outside of what he normally does. So maybe he added some new files, maybe he installed a new program, but we at least know that something's happening there. Down here, we can kind of see all the statistics on that. If we want to drill in here, we can actually see how many sessions we're looking at, how many files have changed, what the rate change was. So you can drill in and see a lot more granularity about what's going on. And then if you're curious about what we're actually looking at, you can click down here. And that's actually going to bring up a web page. It's going to show you all the different information that we look at. Here's a video on how our detection works. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at worst case scenario. Your customer got hit, they got impacted, they get one of these screens pop up on their machine. How do we recover that machine and get it back up and running? Well, we have an option for this cloud backup called BMR Recovery. So the bare metal recovery option allows you to boot up off of an ISO image or a USB, bootable USB drive. It's going to bring you to this screen. You're going to say, all right, I want to do a bare metal recovery. That's going to kick off a wizard. That's the bare metal recovery wizard. We're going to tell it where those backups are stored. So in this particular case, they were stored on a D drive local to that machine. We're going to pick the date that we want to recover from. So this paired with that anomaly detection, we should be able to figure out when that came in and repair past that point so that we know that we're getting a good set. And then we can even use the cloud to restore the newer versions of those files if we need to. Then we're just going to verify, all right, we want to go ahead and replace the C drive, do that restore. It's going to run through this wizard, tell us it's finished. It's going to give us a little recap that says, all right, here's what I've done. I've restored this. And then it's going to tell us we need to reboot. And as soon as we reboot, we're going to come back up and the machine's exactly as we left it. All the bookmarks, desktop shortcuts, all of that are all back in the place where they were when we left them. So again, the bare metal recovery is an option, and we typically see this option used a lot with, you know, C-level people or people who are very important to that client to be able to make sure that we're getting all of their data and we're able to restore everything. Now, ransomware backups can protect you, but only if you're doing the backups correctly. And with that being said, I want to show you guys a resource that I think is really cool that Infrascale's put out there for you. And that is areyouasofttarget.com. So what is areyouasofttarget.com? Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So areyouasofttarget.com is an Infrascale website that is purely dedicated to ransomware and showing how we can help you protect your customers and other things that you guys could be doing to help protect your customers. So the first thing on here, you can take the quiz to see how soft of a target you are. But we can scroll down here and we can see, you know, ransomware by numbers. You know, it's a billion-dollar industry. Over 400,000 attacks are happening a day. You can buy a ransomware kit on the dark web for under 40 bucks. So as a partner, you know, you want to teach your customers about backup and recovery. You want to educate them not to open attachments. You want to make sure that they have good antivirus in their environment. Again, we have another video explaining how our anomaly detection works, the differences between our cloud backup solution and our DRAS solution, which Kelly mentioned earlier. And then down here, we have 6 different white papers that you can download that go over all the different things, a ransomware survival guide, 6 good defense strategies. So everything that you can kind of want to do to educate your customers on how to not be, you know, a nice honeypot or an easy target to be able to get infected by ransomware. Now, with that being said, we've got a couple minutes left here. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions and answers. So you guys should be able to unmute yourselves. Okay.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you. That was a great presentation and a great demo. Yeah, as you were just saying, partners, if you'd like to ask Chris a question or me a question more on the sales side, feel free to unmute yourself there in the GoToMeeting. by just clicking. There should be a little phone that's X'd out next to your name. Just click that, unmute yourself, and you can ask, or if you'd like to type it in the chat, you can definitely do that too. Chris, what are some of the, what's the biggest question that you get on cloud backup when you're doing these demos and working with our current partners?
So it's definitely going to be on the deployment side and kind of the management side. So I showed you guys how we could create a backup policy. So that's a really easy way to set up how you want to do all the backups. On the other side, we also have the ability to create an MSI install package. So you can push that out through global policies in Active Directory. You can push it out with an RMM tool. There's a lot of ways to push that out. But what that's going to do is automatically create these backup accounts, automatically give them the quotas, assign them the backup policy, and start doing these. So it's a really easy utility to roll out. And you can either let the customer be aware that they have it, so they can go in and tweak their own backups and kind of be aware of what's going on, or other, MSPs and partners, they push it out and they just want them to call and say, hey, I need this file back. We give you that option too, to make it completely transparent to the customer that they even have this installed, but still be able to function and back everything up. Now, I know some of you are shy, so if you're on the shyer side and you don't want to ask a question in front of everyone, feel free to go ahead and shoot us an email with that question, and we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, definitely. And so more on the sales side, I've had some partners ask about, what are the lengths of contracts for cloud backup? And that can be 1 year or 3 years. It's pretty flexible. Our DRaaS offering is also in 1 year and 3 years. If you are already a customer and you see that you're, starting to reach that threshold of licensed terabytes, that's how we sell it in increments of terabytes. You can let us know, or maybe we'll let you know if you're past that limit, to add. But yeah, it's very straightforward. It's all right there in that console that Chris showed us. Oh, I do see one question that just came through the chat, Chris. It says, in the event we are only backing up a server SQL database from a directory, could the ransomware protection still be effective?
Yes. So the way that it works is, so if you're talking about dumping it to a file and then you're backing up that file, yes, we'd still be able to protect that. And that would be based off the frequency of how often you're pushing that data up as to how far back that protection would go. But because we essentially kind of air gap the data in keeping those versions by pushing it to the cloud, even if the most recent version is corrupted, you could always roll back to the previous backup copy, which would be uncorrupted.
Got it. Thank you. And I had one more question pop in. Can you do a bare metal backup and restore on Mac OS? And do you support iOS devices?
We do support iOS devices. I actually used it on my iPad the other day to pull something off my desktop to show a customer while I was in a meeting with them. However, we do not support bare metal recovery for Macintosh at this time. So for Macs, we can do the file and folder. We can give you the infinite versions. We can do all the other stuff, but we don't have a bare metal restore client for Mac.
Got it. Thank you. So one more question that just popped in. With file and folder backups, is there a way to restore the last version of each file?
You pick what date and time you want to restore the file from, so that way you can pick which version. Now, if you're asking, is there a way to say, I want to restore all the different versions of this file during this given week? There's not currently a way to do that, but if that's something that would be a requirement for you, it wouldn't be something we could probably implement within 6 months to a year to definitely have it in the product, because that functionality does kind of exist at the client side.
Chris, you had to use cloud backup right before one of these webinars we did a few months ago, right? Didn't you accidentally delete your PowerPoint?
I did. This
and he didn't want to tell me.
Where we can see
he didn't
me
want
and
to tell
Kelly,
me to scare me.
I was tweaking it right before, and I accidentally overwrote it because it's a new program I've never used. And it weirdly says, would you like to back this up before you do this? And I said yes, and realized I broke it. So yeah, I had to use this product to get the old file back so that I'd be able to do the webinar in 30 minutes.
Chris, we got one more question here. Is the ransomware portion that watches for anomalies in the data part of our standard dashboard? This partner says he's not seeing it. Can you tell him where it is?
Sure, absolutely. Let me actually just go ahead and jump back into demo mode here. And we can come back into the dashboard. And we can show you, it's over here in settings, monitoring. And then if we scroll down to the bottom of monitoring here, that's where we see the different settings that we can configure here. So we can turn on detection for changed files, new files, and ransomware, or known ransomware files.
Excellent, thank you. All right, well, I don't see any other questions. So partners, if you think of something after we wrap up here, feel free to shoot me a note or shoot Chris a note, or whoever you work with at Infrascale, we're happy to get you an answer. But thank you all so much for your time today. We really, really appreciate it. We appreciate the business and the time. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to throw one more thing in there. If you guys are currently or looking at being Infrascale partners, definitely across the bottom here, you know, we've got a Facebook, we've got a LinkedIn, we've got a Twitter. You know, follow us on all the social medias. That way you'll get the latest updates from us about when we're releasing new products, any new white papers that we write, anything like that. So those tools are definitely available. Yeah, follow us on social media.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I'll include those links in my follow-up email to all of you, along with the recording information. All right, thanks so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Chris.
No problem. Bye, guys.